Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm learning. Oh, don't lose the phone. All right. Perfect. That works. All right, guys. Welcome to Willow Springs Live Facebook interview featuring Lopaka Rootz. We appreciate you guys for taking time and enjoying this today as we bring to you something new to Willow. And Lopaka has fans all around the world. And we are so blessed to be bringing him here to Willow. Okay. So first question for you today on the list. Could you share with us your musical background? Sure. And what motivated you to pursue music as your career?
Most definitely. So my musical background is quite interesting. I really didn't come from a musical family as a musicians and artists, but a lot of my family loves music, from classic rock to country music to hip hop to pop music as well. I grew up listening to a lot of music, and I want to say when I was like 12 or 13, I wanted to play music, and I wanted to learn how to play bass. But, you know, as it is as being a kid, there's so many things you want to learn how to do. You want to learn how to, you know, get better sports or whatever. You want to, you know, hang out as a kid. I wanted to get good at skateboarding. So I never had the discipline or the focus around that age. So what ended up happening was fast forward to like in my early 20s, I had a near-death experience. And that near-death experience kind of woke me up to like, okay, I haven't done everything that I've wanted to do. So if I'm technically on borrowed time, am I going to do something that I've always wanted to do and see if I can pursue it and make it happen? So I started doing music, and I started getting into like open mics and playing at open mics and doing absolutely terrible and having all the self-doubt, not sure if I was going to be good enough, didn't know how I was ever going to get good, loving all this music and bands and reggae bands, but not being good enough to really play it, but still trying to learn through tabs and through YouTube and trying to get better at guitar and music. And I went through like this period of like trying to figure out how to get better and how to play and how to play and sing. There's just so many levels to it. But that was more of my musical background of what got me into it. And then I started learning the discipline of playing songs and getting through them and figuring out how to get them. And yeah, the open mics and falling on my face so many times. And that's what I've discovered as a musician is like literally that comes with the territory. Like we always think it's going to be like you put music out there and it's going to be sold out shows and everybody's going to love you. And like all of that is an illusion. Like you have to go through the hard knocks and you have to learn how to coordinate these with that. And then you have to learn how to like hold the time while singing and try to stay in key. There's just so many aspects to it and songwriting and everything. But that's mostly my musical background. I'm super grateful to have sort of figured it out. You know, like I'm still trying to develop it, but it's taking time. And I feel like I'm a lot closer than I used to be 10 years ago. So that's pretty much my musical background. On the Hawaiian side, on my mom's side in Hawaii, we do have some musicians and entertainers, but they were more like traditional Hawaiian music. So I never really I never really gravitated towards that. Not that I didn't like it or appreciate it, but it was never like the style I wanted to learn, you know. In the beginning, I really liked like alternative, indie, and like emo music and stuff like that. And then it shifted to this reggae thing as I, you know, started to kind of self-discover myself in my later 20s.
Perfect. Well, that's what we hear today then. And that's great. Awesome. All right. Now, could you share a memorable career performance? Which one struck you that one that just you knew at that moment?
Boy, that's a tough one because I've had so many in my career now that I've been playing. But I would say one of them was the first time hearing the audience sing Living My Best Life back to me. And having wrote a song for myself and hearing people sing it back to me was kind of a surreal moment of like, wow, like I wrote this song for myself, but they're connecting to it. And that was the realization that I was on the right track. And, you know, it's a very good song. It's very positive and uplifting. And, you know, I wrote it for myself because at the time I wasn't living my best life. I was having a hard time getting gigs. I was working full time and trying to still do music. And I was investing a lot of time and money and energy into it. And to hear it finally come full circle to where people were singing it and that it was on the radio, it was kind of like this reinvigoration, this inspiration of like, yes, I'm finally doing what I wanted to do, what I set out to do, putting out this good music and a good message, and other people can resonate with it. So I'd say that was one of the moments. But as far as like the live performance and playing big shows, my biggest opportunity, or the moment that was kind of like extra surreal as well, was playing the Hilo Ho'olaulea, which is like a giant block party concert. And being younger, I would always go there every year, and it's hosted by the radio station KWXX on the Big Island of Hawaii. And every year I would go and see like bands that I looked up to just playing, and like it's a community event. But I want to say before COVID, there was like, I think they calculated like 30,000 people attending this event. And there's like a main stage, and the big bands are on the main stage doing their thing. And then there's a side stage, and there's music basically for everybody. And the Hilo, the Palace Theater, there's like Hawaiian contemporary. At the bandstand, there's like blues rock. But literally, they're just supporting all these artists, and the artists are supporting the community. So it's like this big, giant community event. And I remember saying, one day, I'm going to be up there. One day, like I know I can do it. I know I got what it takes. And when that day finally came and I was up there and everybody was vibing me and my songs were played on the radio and I was up there with all my bros, my full band, my 7-piece band, I felt in that moment that it finally sort of made it. Because like making it isn't about making the millions or the billions or, you know, having the popularity or none of that. It's that moment of like, finally, people enjoy what I do, and I have these opportunities to share it on a large level, and they can connect to it. And, you know, afterwards, people telling me things like, you know, your song really helped me through hard times. Like I was depressed, or I was thinking about committing suicide, and your song came on the radio and it kind of shook me out of the funk. And I realized like, it's not that bad, you know, give them enough hope so that they could basically live for the next day. And then the next day the clouds pass by and, you know, they have a better day or whatnot. So I'd have to say those are pretty much my biggest moments. Career-wise, I got one more that I'll share with you. That was just really fun and exciting. So also in Hilo, we're playing this show and we're opening for Afro Man. So don't ask me how that happened. It's kind of crazy. I would have never figured my style of music would gel with Afro Man's or whatever. But anyway, I got booked to open for him. So I'm getting ready to open for him, and I get a call, I think a week or two before, that basically a festival called Dry Diggins Festival in Grass Valley, California, wanted to have me there. The catch was Afro Man is on Friday, and Dry Diggins is booking me for Saturday in California. So in my mind, I was thinking, there's no way I can make this. So I called my friend who kind of like helps manage me sometimes when I need help. And he's like, okay, let me check. So he goes on his computer, starts looking at flights. He's like, all right. He's like, I got it figured out. You're going to play this Afro Man show. But pretty much by the time he goes on, you're going to have to go get washed up, get to the airport, catch a red eye from Hilo to LA, then LA to Sacramento. And then we're going to drive 2 hours up to Grass Valley or whatever. And we should get there just in time for your set. And I was like, what, we're really going to do this? He's like, dude, we're doing this. All right, you ready? Okay, yeah, ready to go. So we finished our set, have an amazing set. I'm trying to pack all my gear and get ready to go. And I got my clothes, and I'm trying to take a quick shower and get washed up because I'm all sweaty and dirty, and we're going to be on a red-eye flight. Hop on the airplane, get there, get up to Dry Diggins. We get there probably with about an hour to spare before our set. Play our set, and it's one of the most surreal moments for me being in my first musical festival, because the headliner that night is Revolution, a band that I totally look up to. That's phenomenal. Matisse Yahoo's on the lineup.
Yes.
The Movement is on the lineup. Ellie Mack is on the lineup. Landon McNamara, Kyle Smith, all these different musicians and artists that I sort of look up to. All of a sudden I'm in the midst with them. And, you know, I learned like a huge lesson. It was kind of a rookie mistake because I was excited. We got done with our set, and some of my friends that I hadn't actually met in person that came to support me wanted to talk and take pictures. So I'm on the stage, like all excited. I'm like, hey, let's take pictures. We're taking pictures. And the other band is trying to set up because it's all, you know, everything's like clockwork and timing. And my friend manager's like, dude, he's like, get your stuff and get off the stage. He's like, that's the worst thing you can do. It's a huge rookie mistake. He's like, just get your stuff off, then go talk with everybody and hang out. He's like, because you're cutting in to the other band's setup time. So I scramble and get all my stuff, and hopefully I didn't offend the other band. because it was my first time doing a festival.
Yeah.
I'm used to just you play and then you can hang out and talk story, and I didn't want to be rude, but I learned, and now I've actually taken that into account. Recently, when I played at Reggie's with Wookie Foot in Chicago, I timed myself. I was able to get all my gear off the stage in 6 minutes, just real quick, throw it in my suitcase, get it off the stage, and then once I'm off the stage, then I can wind stuff and talk to people or whatever. But
That's
just
great.
practicing my professionalism, because if you want to be pro, you got to practice pro. So you got to play, practice pro to become pro, and then you still might not be pro, but at least you're trying to figure it out.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, now going on with your song that you started with, go with it. Going back to, oh goodness, you just said your song. Hold on, I just lost it. Yes, Living My Best Life, which I've been tagging and stuff. What inspired you to write that? So you've talked a little bit about your life, but through your life, how did you know that that song would portray on other people the way it has?
I didn't. That's the craziest thing about music, is I had no idea that they would resonate with it that way. I wrote it for myself, and I had read this book by Victor Wooten called The Music Lesson. And it's sort of this journey through music. It's kind of like a spiritual journey through music, and us as artists and musicians putting things out there, or, they call it spelling, right? Well, it's casting spells. When we put cordage with our words and with singing, it creates sort of these magical spells. Some people would say they don't exist, but me as an artist, I totally believe what I'm casting out there is a spell. And the spells I wanted to put out there were positive. And like, it was for me, because it's like, I was like, okay, if I'm going to manifest something into my life, I want to be living my best life, or at least I want to be aware that I'm living my best life. Because here at the time, I'm in Hawaii, I'm a musician, I wake up and it's beautiful every single day. And every night I get to play music at some of the most amazing places, beachside as the sun is setting. Like, it's this reminder that even though I'm grinding and I'm doing these gigs and I'm working full time, I was working, I want to say my schedule was like 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or something like that. And I would scramble and get all my gear and rush to the gig. And it takes me about an hour or so to set up all my gear. Set up all my gear and then play for 3 hours and then break all my stuff down and get home at like midnight or 1, and then finally get to sleep at like 2 or 2:30 because I'm, all on and excited for music. And then I'll get up and do it again. And being on that grind was so tiring that I needed to remind myself that, hey, I'm lucky. You're living your best life. Everything is good. And, having dealt with the hardships of life and being able to say, like, okay, we're all going through it, but personally, I'm not going to let it get the best of me. I filled myself with, what would you say, gratitude, instead of like focusing on the things that don't go right in my life. I sort of enveloped gratitude and put that inside of myself and started projecting that. And with Living My Best Life, I went and invested in that song too. I took it to Oahu, which there's a very good producer out there by the name of Bimwala, and I pitched to him, and he was pricey. It was an extremely pricey thing, but I wanted to have it done to the best of its ability, like produce it with one of the best guys that would get everything out of it and do the most he could with the song. And by me putting my heart, my intention, and my thought process into that music, and then Bimwala producing it to the best, when it came release time, it was like it just did its own thing. It was sort of like, I feel like sometimes as a musician, you feel like you're like pushing up this boulder, up this mountain, and it's so heavy and tedious, and then all of a sudden you release it, right? And you're at the peak of the mountain, and it starts rolling down, and then it does its own thing and starts gaining all this momentum, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the radio stations are picking it up, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these amazing gig offers. Hey, can you play this one? Can you do this, that? The other funny thing about Living My Best Life was when I released it, it was right before COVID was about to become a big thing in the world. So the radio station calls me up and they say, hey, you want to come in and do a radio interview for, Living My Best Life? And I was like, what, are you serious? They're like, yeah, you finally made it. So I get there, and this wonderful man by the name of Chris Leonard, who is the owner of the radio station, comes up to me and he shakes my hand and gives me a hug. And he's like, congratulations, you made it. We've been waiting on you. And there was this thing of like, as this musician and this artist, you feel like nobody's paying attention and nobody's hearing you, and you're frustrated, and you're like, why is everybody else getting these opportunities and I'm not, and blah, 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 blah. And you realize it has nothing to do with any of that. It's staying in your lane, staying focused, staying determined, and doing the best that you can. And maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, but you can't like focus on that. So Chris brings me in and I do my radio interview. And I remember we were kind of like, we had just kind of heard about COVID happening. So we're in the studio, and me and the radio disc jockey, we kind of like bumped elbows because everybody was, about the hands, touching each other's hands or whatever. So we bumped elbows, and I find out that that was the last radio interview they were going to have because COVID hit us hard. They locked down the whole island. As you know, the world went upside down. As a musician, I was like, no, my song is finally blowing up, and everything has ended. There's no gigs. There's nothing. And I was sort of disappointed, but at the same time, I saw like the silver lining. And what the silver lining was, the divine timing was that basically my song, every time civil defense would come on the radio, it would say, we've got 45 new cases of COVID on the island, and like everybody be panic and like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And the island's locking down. They would cue Living My Best Life. And it would remind everybody that was there that, hey, it's okay. It's all right. Like everything is all right. You're living your best life. At least you guys are here and you can go to the beach and you still have your family and you're home, even though you're not working, you're home with your kids. You're home with your family. Like appreciate it because the world will go back to the way it was, like not 100% back to the way it was, but, working and being back in the grind and everybody going everywhere. So it was like a pause in time. And I watched Living My Best Life do this crazy thing where it uplifted people in a hard time. And it uplifted myself, even though I couldn't play it live. And then as COVID started to lift, or the regulations and the rules and stuff, the restrictions or whatnot started to lift, the restaurants started calling, hey, Lopaka, you want to come and play this restaurant? You want to come do this and that? And I remember the first restaurant I played, there was rules to it. Like I could play in the restaurant, but everybody had to sit at their tables. They all had to be 6 feet apart. And at first I thought I was going to have to wear a mask while singing, which is absolutely ridiculous because like it's almost impossible. You're going to pass out breathing your air, recirculate the air the whole time. So I remember playing it and people would want to come up and dance. And I would have to be like, guys, I'm sorry. Like, you got to go back to your table. I know it's ridiculous. I don't make the rules, but I have to sort of like, I'm the entertainer. I have to keep you guys safe and protected or whatnot. So y'all got to go back to your tables. And I watched as things kept progressing and getting better, the opportunities just kept getting better. This concert started, opening up. Like once the rules kind of slackened up even more, I was playing this concert and this show, and I started getting gigs 5 to 7 nights a week. And it just went absolutely crazy because of that one song that changed everything. Yeah, so with the music, I never expected it at all to do what it did. I put the intention into it, but it wasn't about, like, there was this weird thing that happened to me as a musician where I realized when I first started doing music, I was very preachy. You should, we should, they should, blah, blah, blah. And when I stopped focusing on everybody else and I internalized it and I went deep within, that's when everybody could connect with the music, because they could connect with it this way and look at their own life and look at their own perspective instead of having me be preachy of this, you should do this and that. So it was interesting as I learned there was this paradigm shift of it's less about them and more about my internal and what I'm feeling, and then allow them to make their connections to the music instead of trying to force them to be connected, if that makes sense.
But that's what we expect you guys to do. If you can touch us through your life and your story, that's how we grow. And
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I know in the last 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, I would say in the last 2 years, the change in music that I've changed to has inspired me to change. So I thank you for writing what inspires you through your trials and tribulations that we go through. So because of the things you went through, your music is inspired through all of that. And it's your story. Thank you.
You know what's crazy about music, Auntie Robin, is I don't write it. Like once I put myself in this thing of channeling it, that's when I became in flow with it. Because when I was trying to write it, it was like forcing the flow and creation, and nobody can force the flow.
Yeah.
But then as an artist, like you want to create and do all these things, so you have to put like pure intention and sort of like align yourself with the flow. And then all of a sudden you'll see these ideas, or like for me as a songwriter, I have what I call my hook book. Like I'll be out somewhere and I'll see like a divine universal sign, a song title. like, oh, I like that. But at the time, you're busy in life. I don't have time to sit down and write and focus to it. So I'll write it in my book, and then when I'm feeling creative, I'll go to my notepad or my book later and be like, oh yeah, let's write a song about this. I like this idea right here. And it's a way that I can sort of capture the little signs that the universe is giving me and sort of put them on the back burner until it's time to cook.
Very creative. Love that idea. It's kind of what I do
Thank
as
you.
a teacher. I see ideas and I write them down. And then later
Yeah.
I'll go back and be like, what was that? Yes, very much. All right. Last but not least, this is where I want to sum it up as. So your inspirational music and talking about all of that and how you impact others. How do you feel in society? How is that role potential to be just a big positive impact that we can make a big change in this world? Because that's what Willow's about, is making change. How do we take that music and we get it out there and make that positive change that we all ask for?
Well, I guess it goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like we can't force it to happen. So we just have to put it out there, and it will find the ears and the people that it needs to inspire. And it might not even be right now, you know, like the younger generation that's into pop music, right? And all this like materialism and all this nonsense that's out there. I feel like I even liked that stuff when I was younger. But as I started to sort of soul search or find myself in my, you know, mid-20s, that's when I sort of started to discover like Bob Marley, and like, you know, other bands that I look up to, and look, you know, like even Mike Love. As I got older, there's just like the music finds us at the right place in the right time. So there's not much we can personally do other than keep putting it out there, keep supporting it, doing an interview. Like people only hear my music, they don't know what I'm like as a person, or they don't know what you're like as a person, as a festival promoter who's not only doing a festival but a conscious festival, which is a whole nother thing, because you're not just allowing people to show up to your show and drink and act a fool, and you're not promoting, you know, a bunch of mainstream materialism and things like that. You're basically, you're setting a safe place for conscious artists to perform and play, and for the right people to find their way to you. And when I first met you, it's kind of wild. Of like, you're like, you know, people don't just come here. You got to be invited. And when you told me that, I was like, wow. Like it actually, it was like an honor. It made me feel honored of like, wow, I'm here. And I wasn't even there for my own music, which is awesome, because as you know, Hope Medford, who's a good friend of mine, she hired me, I want to say a year and a half ago, to play Summer Pyro with her, because I had moved out here to the East Coast. And I got to play with her and Alele, and absolutely love their music. Love what they do, love being a part of it, love helping create bass lines or whatever I can do to be a part of her vibe. And as a musician, a lot of time we're so worried about our own music that whenever, like the really good ones are the ones that are serious about music, you figure out how to make everybody else shine around you. Like if it's not your time to shine, then you figure out a way to make their stuff shine and elevate. And I feel like being a part of her team is awesome, because I get to be a part of that. And, you know, I don't have to be the front man. I can kind of hide out in the back and just feel the music. And like when they need me to do this or that, I can add hype or whatever they need. And, you know, I've seen guys like Dave Grohl, for instance, from the Foo Fighters, talk about, you know, sometimes it's amazing to be at the lip of the stage and everybody's full attention. And he said, but then there's other times where you're so in it, you know, playing drums or in the back, that like it's just as important putting your spirit and soul into, you know, somebody else's message, as long as the message is right. And I'm very particular too about who I'll play with. And, you know, like the message has to be a good message, you know, like I'm not trying to preach materialism, violence, stuff like that. You know, like I have to really, like if I'm going to put my heart, soul, time, and intention behind somebody's music, like I really have to be able to relate to it. And I feel like I do that with Hope Medford and Alele's music, and Higher Vibration, who I play keys with too. I feel really, really good about the message that he's trying to portray as well. So yeah, music is just one of those things, you know, there's a magic to it. And like I talked about the spell casting, you know, like if I'm going to cast spells out there that are going to sort of like define my life, I'd rather put good ones out there. You know, like for instance, Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, Under the Bridge, amazing song. Just the way that it is amazing. But the message is bumping heroin under the bridge, you know, and like, but the feeling they created was evidently that euphoric feeling of doing that stuff. But the message is so terrible about putting this beautiful song that literally, like, you have to live by it. You live with that, you know? Or like even Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, he wrote a song called either Holding On or Heavy or something like that. And it was his cry for help through the music. So imagine you feel amazing, right? You're not sad and depressed. And all of a sudden now this becomes your hit song. So every time you have to sing it, you have to embody that pain and that hardship and those feelings and keep putting it out there every night, even when you're feeling good, you know? And like, for me, I don't want to do that. There's been times where I've had a migraine, you know, because you're human. I've had a migraine, or somebody has passed away in my family, or, you know, I'm sick, or just so many different things, and or not feeling well. And as soon as I play Living My Best Life, I feel better. I'm not going to say it heals me, but I feel better. Even if I'm tired and my body is sore from playing 10 gigs in a row, I play that song, I feel better, and I see it change other people's perspectives in their life too, and they feel better. And the fact that they know it and that they channel it with me, I feel like they're living their best lives too. So it's like that one gift that I was gifted from the universe or God or Great Spirit, and now I get to share that with other people and see them living their best lives as I continue to live my best life. And it's only gotten better, you know. I have my partner Laura, and then we had, you know, our son Koa, and like every little aspect in life, I watched this song sort of help me manifest that.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate you today. I appreciate your time. I cannot wait to see you on stage and bring you in to continue building relationships here at Willow. I appreciate
We're gonna have so
your
much
time
fun
today. Yes, we are. Collabs, feel free. We got, oh my, the collabs out here.
I'm cooking
You're
up some
getting
things.
ready to see all that, some stuff.
I'm
Do you have a
talking
song you
behind
want
the
to share
scenes
with us
too.
today?
What was that?
You want to sing a song to us today and
I
end our
do.
live with a song?
Yes, I do actually. So it's one of my newer songs because I just started playing it, working on this in the studio. Excuse me, on getting it produced. And the crazy story about this song is in February, end of February, beginning of March, I had gone back to Hawaii because I'm living here on the East Coast now to do a show
Okay.
with this really huge band back in Hawaii called Hikolu. They had invited me back to do this big show. And I came back, got to play with my full band again after a year and a half of not even seeing them. We got together, played this big show, and I set up like a week or two little tour around the island. And I played a bunch of shows and connected with all my people over there. And it was beautiful weather, and I took my son to the beach, and he got to play in the sand, and he got to see his tutu, who was his grandmother. And he was just, yeah, the whole thing was incredible. And we flew back here, and within a day or two, it started snowing. And it was like 3 or 4 foot of snow. And I was like looking and watching the snow from this room right here. I was looking out the window, and I was like, man, like the reality set in. Like I'm back in the cold. I sort of miss those sunny days. Like I kind of miss it, you know, like where I could wear shorts. You just go outside, it's warm. Everybody's kind of happier, right? Because there's just, you get that vitamin D and endorphins. So I wrote this song called Sunny Days, and I started producing it, and then all of a sudden the weather changed, right? Because it's summertime. So now I get to play it while everybody else is experiencing the summer days as well. So I'm going to play it for you. I also got my little looper here set up. So a lot of time what I'll do is I'll pre-track my songs inside of the looper. I can live loop, but I like to actually get them dialed in the studio. That way when I'm performing live, the tempo is set, they're EQ'd, so all my songs are pretty much in the same volume level and frequency. But yeah, this one is called Sunny Days, so we'll give it a go right here. I might sit near and have myself a beer, kick back, relax, and have a good time here, listening to the sound of the ocean kissing the shore. I hold it in my heart till I can't take it anymore, listening to the palm trees and the waves that having fun, cause all I really want is to be sitting in the sunny day to melt my pain away. The sun Oh, all those sunny days. You can find me sitting in my chair on top of Sept. Got a fat sack of the green and a rollie in my hand. Waiting for the sun to set down across the sea. Hoping that I get another green flash memory. Looking at the palm trees and the waves we're having fun. 'Cause all I really want is to be sitting in the sunny days. To melt my pain away. The sunny days that take my worries away. The sunny days that slowly fade away. Oh, all those sunny days. I wanna sit down in that sunshine. I'll be back now working on 10 lines. Got a high 95 with some good vibes. And a blue sky sipping on my ties. Got my feet dipped in that white sand. On the Gilligan on an island. Yeah, we can have fun till it's all said and done. Come and get some of the sunny days. To melt my pain away. The sunny days that take my worries away. The sunny days that slowly fade away. Oh, all those sunny days. Those sunny days that take my worries away. Those sunny days that melt my pain away. Those sunny days that slowly fade away. Oh, all those sunny days. Original called Sunny
Woo!
Days, coming out soon, pretty soon.
I
It's gonna be a
love
little
that
bit.
song.
Thank you. I really wanted to create that islandy feel where you're just kicking back and you're having a good time and enjoying yourself. And all I did was I put myself back there mentally, and then I sort of channeled it out. And now I feel really cool when I get to play it and I see it sun shining and everybody's having a good time. And it's like this whole vibe of like almost being on the island, but we're here during the summertime. And when all that passes and it's cold outside too, hopefully it warms people from the inside.
I tell you, meeting you last fall, I knew the intentions that you have were the intentions that Willow shares. And I thank you for trusting in us and coming back to Willow and putting on your own show. And we got you twice. So we've got that twice now. So he's going to be playing Friday and Saturday night, guys.
To be honest, it wasn't hard. By meeting you and like seeing what your intentions are and why you even created your festivals, I knew I had to be a part of it. And like it was divine timing to be there, to be a part of everything. And just seeing how everybody was enjoying themselves and like just the overall crowd and getting to play for them and getting to jump up with Brother Mikey because we have our collab. It just felt right, you know. And it was funny because there was this thing where I was really hesitant, and like a lot of things had to happen for me to be able to play at Willow. You know, like I was booked for Pyro, and things sort of fell through with Pyro, and then Hope was like, "Hey, can you come play with me at Willow?" And at first, it's it's close to a 10-hour drive for me, and I was like, I don't know, I've never driven that far in my whole entire life. Like, I don't know if I could do that, and the flight and this and that. And there's so many things. And then when I finally got there, I understood why there was so much adversity. It was because nothing that's good or worthwhile is going to come easily. Just like Willow, like that is going to be a place that stays in my heart, and I hope to be a part of it, and like, I don't expect to play it all the time or anything like that, but whenever we can cross paths and I can share my vibes there, especially as I continue to grow as an artist, I'll always be there for you guys, even supporting, and as friends and family with you and Andy. Like, just the whole overall vibe, I understand why I was meant to be there and why, I get to share my music this time. So I'm super grateful for the opportunity and for all the connections I made out there. That's the other thing, having met Mando for the first time, already being friends with Sam, meeting Echo for the first time, which was amazing. Also, there's friends I had out there like Ryan Kine, and like there's just so many amazing musicians and artists that sort of have found their way to you, and like I feel blessed that I get to be one of them. And I'm super grateful to share my music and to have met you guys, because you guys are just both wonderful people. And I would love to see it continue to grow, and like keep being this thing. Like, even the part that blew me away the most about your festival, to be honest, the music and everything was cool, but you running the gate and you're watching all the kids, and all the kids are coming up like, Auntie, I need this. Okay, hold on 1 second. And the kids are all playing in the field and having the time of their life while music is happening, while you're running the door to make sure we're not getting any bad influences, and like just that overall thing and that family vibe that you created. I was like, I definitely want to be a part of this again at some point, either playing with Hope or whoever, what other artists, or being able to share my music. And to be honest, it's the first time I've ever just grabbed my guitar and came up to the gate and played acoustic, because it was kind of a rough day, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to play. People are coming or going, whatever. I'm just going to put my heart into it, put good intention out there. And, maybe an opportunity will come from it or not, but at least I get to share my music and share, my medicine, or what I get to create and share.
I absolutely had a blast with you. Was that the taco song? Was it a taco song we were singing? I think it was.
I think so. Yep, I think it was.
That was fun. I really appreciate you. Just blessed to have met you. I know just weeks before the show, Hope had messaged me and told me that you were going to be joining her, and just making connections with you. I just know with our intentions that you were meant to be here at the right timing, to even inspire me as a human being, but not just me, those that are a part of Willow.
We're all just extensions of each other. So even with Mikey, right, having met him at Pyro for the first time, I was like, hey, man, if you ever want to do work, send a collab. And he threw me People Gonna Use. And me and him still kind of joke about it, too, because, like, he was like, man, I kind of threw you, like, a negative song. And he's like, you, like, threw it back at me in, like, this positive way. And you did, like, this little recipe and, like, cooked up this thing. And, as a musician and artist, like you said, I don't necessarily get to, like, force write stuff. I have to channel and be like, okay, what direction is this going? Like, if you were to think about a sailboat, right? You're out on this sailboat, and you need to go a certain direction, but you don't control the wind. But what you do control is your sail and how you tack it to the wind so that you can go the direction you need to go. That's what music in the flow is. It's like learning how to set your sail into the creative flow so it'll take you in the direction where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, the song that with Brother Mikey, People Gonna Use, that's been a big part of inspiring me to just keep pushing, because running as a promoter is not easy.
No, it's not. There's so much that you have to deal with.
Well, you take so much on, because I'm soft-hearted anyway. I mean, our story's got to tell you who we are, and I'm so soft-hearted, but it's told me to buck up. But it's inspirational for me. So I appreciate you doing that part with him.
We all have this thing, right, where, like, even us as artists, a lot of us are introverted, because to be able to write and create songs, we're alone by ourselves and channeling. So to learn how to be introverted, but also to be able to share it on stage while people are watching, and like all these things are happening. I mean, it takes time, and we get better at it and get good at networking and communicating with the crowd, but it's all part of the process. Because otherwise, if I'm creating all this music and not sharing it, like as Mike says, you can't take it with you when you go. And there's other people out there that need it, that need the inspiration. Even for me, like I listen to my favorite artists or like Mike's new album, and I'll still get bits and pieces that are like, man, he's right. I really can connect with that. Even though I'm writing my own songs or channeling my own stuff, I can still relate to other people's music. And it's sort of this thing of we re-inspire each other to keep going and to keep growing.
Well, each of you guys inspire us, because I could not see where I am today 5 years ago.
You were meant to be here.
Couldn't see it, but I also couldn't see where I am today 2.5 years ago because of the way Willow's music was ran and the intentions that were put into it. The intentions that Andy and I had was there in the beginning. It was just getting the right people to push those intentions and to back those intentions that we had set, which has now built Willow so that I can sit at that gate and enjoy those babies like I do, and enjoy time with artists like you or individuals. My gate is open to anyone to come and sit with me. I absolutely love what I'm doing.
The hardest thing, Miss Robin, is the seed, right? The seed of intention. Having the faith to plant it and to know that it might not happen tomorrow. It might not pop up tomorrow or next week or next month. But if you nurture it and you give it the right ingredients, it will grow to where it needs to be. And you'll be there to see the harvest of it and to see it flourish. And like even for me with music and intention and songwriting and my son, everything started with the first seed of intention and figuring it out. And then just having faith that it was all going to come together, and that just like the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. You start finding us,
Yeah.
That's even why I connected you with the other artist just recently, Lavelle Harvey. And she's out there, and I see part of her and me of being at the beginning, right? Like, how do I'll play all the open mics and I'll do all these things to share my music and my message, but how do I get in? And, and like I even told her, I said, a lot of it's just your hard work and stay focused on the music, do the best that you can do with the production, keep grinding. Everything you're doing is right, but then you have to trust the process, and it takes time. And it's not going to happen overnight, and it might not happen next week or even next year. But if you keep on doing it, and every time you fall down, you get back up. Because all of us, even me at this point, I still have self-doubt. Am I doing the right thing? Am I good enough? Or am I sure that people like it and this and that? And it has nothing to do with any of that. Like every time I get to play my music, it's a blessing, because none of us ever knows when our last day is. And for me with music, I have this blessing that I get to share each time, so I play it like it's my last. Me and Mikey had this wild thing that happened at Willow Springs. So we're getting ready to go on stage, right? And Mikey is a performer, so he's very focused like I am. And he made this statement, I'm going to forget all my lyrics. And I looked at him and I said, no, you are not. I said, dude, you know how many times you've done this? I said, come over here. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you're right. I said, Mikey, think about this, bro. There was a time when we were all little kids and we're all playing with our group of friends. And we're having the time of our lives, and we're playing and playing and playing. And what we did not know was that day was going to be the last time we ever all played together. Ever. I said, and that is what this moment is right now, us going on stage. We never know if we'll all be together in this moment to be able to do this and create it. So play it like it's your last. And all of a sudden I see him go, and he went up there and he gave one of the best performances. I mean, he always does a great performance, but I seen him sparked again and remind himself it's not about lyrics. It's about our intention and what we put out there. And the fact that we as musicians and artists get to come together and do what we love and inspire people and change people at the same time of refeeling ourselves of why we do it and why we love to do it.
Well, that goes to Andy and I. The inspiration of our last festival, which was the Eclipse, that was our inspiration to say, we've done our job. It was the most beautiful fest we have ever had. The intentions in it was so purposeful. And that's what we want. And we want that to continue completely. And with each of you and the right mindset and intention, Willow's going to be And I thank you so much for just being a part of this one. I thank you for taking on the second day. I appreciate you.
In Hawaii, we call it Hanai Ohana, like, you know, your extended family, basically. So I appreciate you extending your Hanai Ohana to me and bringing me in to be a part of what you have created and seeing your vision grow as well. And like, I'm excited because, you know, as an artist, I play a lot of restaurants and things like that. And I do it for a living to be able to feed my family and to support myself as an artist. But sometimes there's this weird thing of the money is good to play a restaurant, but I'm sort of just background noise. But to play a festival like yours for conscious people who are there for your message, for your music, it refuels me as an artist, you know. And like, not only that, to be able to be, you know, compensated fairly and to have that, that's the one big thing that most of us artists dream of, is to be able to win in every way, right? To be able to take care of our families, do what we love for a living, and share with people who want to hear it and who actually care. And for you to create those opportunities for us is super important. So whenever you're having your doubts and things like that, like, our families depend on you to be able to put your hard work and time in there. And I know it's stressful, you know, you got to get your bathrooms ready, you got to get everything ready, you got to get your sound people, this artist has to go on that day. There's just so many things that go into it that are behind the scenes that people don't realize. They think, oh, you just get to have this amazing fun festival and everybody shows up. And I'm sure after it's all done, the hangover of energy that comes and takes a week or two, because even for us playing, there's like this whole thing of like, we get so hyped up and excited, and then afterwards, like, wow, like, I'm glad it happened, but I survived that at the same time, because there were so many things and moving parts, and this had to happen for this to happen. But like, the reason that it does happen and that it is a success is because your intentions are right. If you put those intentions in the right place, you know, the proof is in the pudding. And that's why that festival is so good. And even for me, it was this thing of like, I was disappointed that the pyro thing had fallen through, because I really was excited about like, okay, I'm going to get to share my music, my message. And it wasn't meant to be that way, because it created this, like me getting to be a part of Hope's music and then connecting with you guys. So the universe is crazy like that. You don't know why things happen, and you know, sometimes you're like scratching your head of like, I can't believe this is happening when it should be this way, but it's just like that flow, you know, like this is the way that it's supposed to be. And now I'm super stoked to have, you know, met all these artists. And, you know, can I shout some of them out too that are going to be at the festival this year?
Yeah,
I want to shout out my man, brother Mikey, who's going to be there sharing his music and his melee. Brother Sam Frampton. We got Emerald Alliance is going to be there. Amber Echo. We got Anna. We got Mando McPicken in the house. We're going to have my brother Ryan Kind as well. Jake Willis, is that how you pronounce his name?
Jake Willis.
Jake Willis, who's going to be there. Stoked to meet him for the first time. That's awesome. Crystal Waters Band and the Kevin Lucas Experience. I look forward to all these artists that are new that I get to meet, and connecting with my extended family as well that I've seen in the festival scene. And yeah, I have a good feeling about us all connecting, figuring out, you know, collab sets, or, you know, maybe not the whole set, but figuring out where we can collab with each other so that we can, you know, like help refuel and inspire each other and everybody else. I like having a little bit of spontaneity. I sort of plan it out, but I like having, like, you know, like what's going to happen, who's he going to bring up, or what's going to happen here or there. So I'm pretty excited about having some special guests come up with me as well.
Yes. Well, Willow is the place where people meet people. I mean, we bring in people from all over. So artists are coming in from north, south, west, east, as far as we can bring them in, but we also bring in a few locals. So we want to be an outreach. And I love the fact that you were one of those outreaches.
I'm grateful to be one of them too, seriously. To be able to play and to share my music. And it's, for me too, it's probably my last big festival before the winter time hits us. And then it's sort of like focus on some of my smaller gigs and prepare myself to release my full album and like work on some new music and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the big celebration before it's time for the hibernation again. All
right. Well, we thank you for your time. I appreciate you so much. And you have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Miss Robin. And you have a good one too.
Yes. And enjoy that baby time.
Hey,
enjoy your
do it. Tell brother Mikey I said hello.
Yes.
When you see him tomorrow.
All right.
I'll probably stop in as well to support.
Oh, yeah.
Aloha.
Yeah, please. All right.
Oh,
Aloha.